Max Verstappen and Toto Wolff's own personal jets have both been spotted in Sardinia, just as the Formula One world was left reeling by the bombshell sacking of Christian Horner at Red Bull. Coincidence? Don't believe it. The timing is too good. This has only served to fuel the fire of rumors in circulation. Could Dutch superstar Max actually be heading to Mercedes from 2026? The whispers are growing louder, and now, there are reports of some very intriguing conversations unfolding in Italy. But here's the million-dollar question. Can Max truly take that leap? Could he actually commit to this seismic move and finally bring an end to this long-swirling saga? And if he does, who exactly would he replace at the Brackley-based squad? We've reached a tipping point. This is no longer rumor from the paddock. Verstappen and Wolff are already in talks about a shared future at Mercedes, potentially as early as 2026. What was pie in the sky has now very much the flavor of reality. For so long, everyone believed Max would never abandon Red Bull. But the game has changed, big time. Christian Horner's departure is more than a sensationalized headline. It could be the turning point in all of this jigsaw. While everyone thought that Horner had been sacked to appease Verstappen and win his long-term allegiance, things might actually turn out to be quite the opposite. And that changes everything. Let's not forget, Toto Wolff has never been a man to conceal his affection for Verstappen. Even while publicly supporting George Russell and Andrea Kimi Antonelli as Mercedes driver line for 2026, come on, be real. Who would not jump at the chance to sign a four-time world champion when he is in his peak? And now, the planets have never aligned more favorably. Horner is not there. The internal dynamics of Red Bull are openly fractured. And in fact, who among that team can stand up to Max and actually reassure him it is still the right choice to stay? From Verstappen's point of view, Milton Keynes' future has never appeared more tenuous. If you're Toto Wolff, it's where you plan your next move with precision. Mercedes aren't quite panicking, they've a decent pairing. Since 2022, the team has accumulated 6 wins and 7 pole positions, with 4 wins and 6 poles coming individually from George Russell. He's proven himself to be a world-class driver, and with the right car, most believe he's world champion material. He may well bring Mercedes back to the top. But come on, comparing Russell to Verstappen is not even in the same ballpark. Max is competing on another planet, 65 wins, for championships, and a facility with precision and pressure management that borders on the machine-like. Which is exactly why that meeting in Sardinia may be the pivot point, the moment when whispers turn to reality. It's hard to believe they flew out just to chit-chat about the 2026 regulations, or whether the next-gen cars will be the Frankenstein machines Horner once joked about. No, this was likely Toto showing Max a glimpse into the future. Much like Lawrence Stroll once did when he pitched Aston Martin's bold vision to Adrian Newey. And if we're being honest, I'd bet high-stakes Max had no objections to what he witnessed. Even Verstappen's relative, Nelson Piquet Jr., has stoked the fires. In discussing Mercedes' miserable weekend at Silverstone, he didn't hurl stones, but he did leave a hint. There are some weekends where things just don't go your way, right? There's nothing you can do, he argued. One of the Mercedes drivers, Antonelli, is new and also rear-ended by Isaac Hadjar. In either case, it just wasn't Mercedes' weekend. Who knows? Maybe next year Max will be there. They're in discussions. Everybody knows that. Everybody knows that. Powerful words. Up until recently, the real hurdle wasn't Verstappen, it was internal resistance within Mercedes. The bosses were reportedly in despair at the optics of releasing Russell just in order to sign Max. It wasn't part of the company's culture. Now, however, that is all out of the window. According to the latest reports, Mercedes CEO Ola Kalinius has signed off on it. The mission is clear: go and get Max Verstappen. So, I don't really think that we'll need to do anything else to make this a reality. But what does Mercedes possess that Red Bull just can't match from this point of view? Really, it boils down to development and performance. It's not that Max dislikes Red Bull itself, but he is not happy about the fact that they are not showing in any way that they are going to improve anytime soon. The Wash and Bow technical team did not even come close to the quality standards that Adrian Newey set. From a championship-winning team of 19 out of 23 races to a team that cannot even qualify for the front row, a meltdown which took place during the same era of technically governed racing, nobody can even imagine how Red Bull could have fallen this far. So, the sacking of her might have made so much sense if there wasn't Max. I don't think Red Bull would be a midfield team either. And I think Max came to the realization that this is a sinking ship. So if he stays in the sport for another couple of years, then make no mistake that he wouldn't want to be celebrating P5 and P6 finishes. But this is something that Wolff needs to take into consideration should he decide to commit to Verstappen. The four-time world champion really does not have so much of a desire to remain in the sport for too many years. The way the sport is heading is not something that he really wants to be associated with. Street races, growing calendars, and regulations that really do not make much sense at all. To that, he became a father. So family would be a new priority now for him. And this is actually a really difficult question for Toto Wolff. You have Russell, who came to your team from 2022 and was at Williams for 3 years before he was finally transferred to the Silver Arrows. He is literally your protégé. You've developed him to the point that he is at now, and you are considering axing him for a world champion on a full-time basis who might not even be in the sport for a very long period of time. A lot is on the line, but now the momentum is with Verstappen and everyone would kill to have him drive for them. So, I'd wager Wolff has a great speech ready to go for Max short-term. Sure, it makes a lot of sense. Verstappen will definitely bring championships to Mercedes, even if their engines aren't the best by a mile in the new world. We've already witnessed him dominate a championship in the third fastest car at Red Bull last year, which hasn't happened since the Piquet triumph of 1983. But do they really look like a Mercedes in the end? They've picked and chosen their drivers and guaranteed that they'll have plenitude and long-term partnership with them. And I don't believe the second part comes true for Verstappen. But Mercedes can even persuade Max that this sport has a future. And he already has 4 titles at 27 years of age. Imagine how many more he can score with Mercedes if the Silver Arrows are actually going to be as good as they say they will be from 2026 and onwards. Can it be that Max and Russell are going to be teammates in Mercedes? It's a very thin one, but there is definitely a possibility that this will happen. Wolff might think that Antonelli is too young and immature to be fighting for a championship at the age of 19, despite his initial comments when he promoted him to the seat of Hamilton. Let's not forget that this decision was more or less forced upon them. Wolff's initial hope was to put Antonelli in a development team like Williams and follow the path Russell followed before being promoted to Mercedes, but circumstances would not allow for that and Toto had to put Antonelli right next to Russell. It is not like that was a bad decision, but from 2026 onwards, Mercedes will receive one more customer team, Alpine. This means that they will have a spare seat in the event that Toto wants to pit Verstappen and Russell on the same equipment and then determine who Antonelli will take the place of when the time is ripe. The future is for Kimi. That goes without saying, and Wolff would not let him go for anything. But minor change of the narrative would be very much advantageous to all parties. Russell will finally get the opportunity to put his money where his mouth is, as Verstappen is going to finally prove that the success he has had with Red Bull can be replicated at Mercedes. As a driver of his quality, it is always appreciated when you win titles with over one team, and that is something that still has not happened in Max's career. In light of all this, do you think Max Verstappen needs to leave Red Bull now and join a team that is going to respect the zenith of his career and provide him with a car that has the potential to win championships and races? And if that's the case, who do you think he'll be replacing at Mercedes? Let us know in the comments below. And once you've done that, make sure to check out the video that's appearing on your screen right now.